Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Frontlines podcast with my great friend Madeline Laurano. Madeline, we're in Boston, your hometown.
Boston, and we are very excited to be with a good friend of ours.
I know, Rachel Allen from 7-Eleven.
Happy to be here.
Tell everybody what you do, what's your job.
Sure. So,
You're not the Slurpee maker.
Unfortunately, no.
That would be a great title.
That would
do
be
have
a
the
really
That would
cool
be
title.
like, I work at
Yeah.
7-Eleven. That should be the CEO's title at 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
Slurpee maker.
Chief Slurpee maker?
Chief
Slurpee
Slurpee
maker.
maker.
Not a bad idea. I'll have to take that one
Yes,
back.
please change that.
Well, I've told you guys this before, but I'm a boomerang. We actually have a lot of boomerangs, and I'm one of them. And so
Isn't it great? It's good for culture. Like, to me, it always speaks to culture.
we want to
Oh,
come back.
absolutely.
It's like people leave
Yeah.
and they're like, God,
You
I love
know,
it there.
I
always
kind of miss that place.
Nothing compared.
Yeah. As my old boss that called me to come back, he said, "Time to come home."
Good.
Yeah.
Love that.
So I returned back for my second stint there at the end of 2021. And I currently now lead all of talent acquisition, and I also have strategic workforce planning.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's a big job.
It
It's
is
so
a big
funny.
job.
So when Tim and I first decided we were doing this Frontlines, like we were just texting back and forth, like who we wanted on it, and he, obviously brought you up at the top of the list, and then like a week later I came to him and I was like, let's get Rachel on. He's like, I already said that.
Yeah,
Like,
look at your text
yeah,
messages.
I got there
look back
first.
there. He's like, already suggested her, number one. Yeah.
That's a great idea, Mads.
That was the right answer.
Yeah.
That's what you were supposed
You're
to say.
amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Such a
Think of
good
such
idea.
Never
good
would have thought of that
things. Yes.
myself. So we usually ask people their first job, but like
Yep.
now we had obviously we were on more of a live podcast earlier, which people can go check out. So if you want to know Rachel's first job, you got to go check out that podcast. I actually like the boomerang job thing.
Yeah.
Like I've never Mads, have you ever boomeranged back anywhere?
I did.
Where?
I worked for an analyst firm, Aberdeen, and when I was young, and then boomeranged back when I had kids, and they're both very different experiences. And then it was a good decision. It was the right decision.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there was a separate podcast. We'll unpack that. There was a lot.
There's a lot of hesitation. I didn't want to get into it. It felt like a therapy session was going to unfold
Some
here.
people are still alive.
Yeah.
That I can't talk about. No.
I no longer work there. I don't know if that says anything.
I never had a boomerang, but I go back in my career and take a look at what's the job that I had the most fun at. And I remember my first real HR job that I just remember laughing till my stomach hurt multiple days. And it was a group that was pretty close. It was a retail operation out of Omaha. And I just literally remember going to lunch every day with these four guys and literally crying, laughing
Oh, that's so fun.
every day.
Yeah.
So then I'm always going, I don't know if I would want to go back to that job. I would want to go back to that time and place
Yeah.
with those
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
I would boomerang
Because
back to those.
it was like
Yeah.
the funnest
Yeah.
time ever that you could
Well,
just
we're
have
at
these
work
people.
more than we're at home.
Yeah.
And so
I know.
who you're surrounded by when you're at work makes a huge difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're remembering the moments and the people. And that's where, that's something because we work for 7-Eleven, when you ask someone about that, it's always a nostalgic type of everybody has a memory. And so we really try, I think we had someone visit us last week to speak to us about some leadership, development opportunities, that type of a thing. And something they mentioned was, creating moments. You're in the business of creating moments, not just selling Slurpees.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's
It-
pretty cool.
it
And
feels
that's what you're
something.
talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Even as an employee, not just for our customers, but for our employees. Yeah.
Right. So I'm curious. So you have 3 kids.
I do.
Wait. So remind me the ages: 14, 12,
And
and
8.
8.
Nice.
So my
Wow.
kids
Impressive.
are around the same ages and love 7-Eleven. I mean, 7-Eleven is a big deal in
Yeah.
our house. So what do your kids think of mom
They
working 7-Eleven?
love it, and they are very proud of it. And every year when it's time for, what is that work, when you go
Bring
to
your kids to work.
Bring your kids,
not,
yeah.
not bring your kids to work, when you go to the school and you tell them
Oh, yeah.
whatever
What-
that's
yeah,
called.
yeah.
They always want me
The
to do
career
that.
day.
Yes, the career day.
day.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
career
I'm
day.
never, I haven't been able to yet, but they think it's really, but it was a long time before they realized I didn't work at the corner 7-Eleven right by our house. And I was like, that's not where I'm going in every
Oh,
day, but I
right.
love that that's what you
Yeah.
think.
That was my Applebee's story.
yeah.
Constant people are like, which one?
Yeah.
All of them.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Everyone.
Which one?
Every one of them.
Yes.
And they still think that I get unlimited Slurpees and candy for free and get to bring it home every day. And Unfortunately, no, not unlimited.
You would think for sure you would get free Slurpees. I think if I'm a corporate employee, it's the one thing. So if you hire me at 7-Eleven,
Yeah.
and the chief Slurpee officer, who's now the CEO that I renamed, so that's why you're hiring me because I have such great ideas.
Sure.
That's in my contract.
Yeah. Okay.
Any
A requirement.
corporate
Yeah.
7-Eleven I come into,
Yeah.
I better get that. Do I my mic keeps dropping.
Everybody
like
gets
Same thing.
Melting a little
free
on you.
Slurpees on Slurpee Day.
Oh,
So,
there you go. So everyone, we can go in
Yeah.
there and do that too.
Absolutely. And then there's other times where you can get the free Slurpees as well. And if you do our Gold Pass, and on the app, you do get 7 free beverages every month.
Oh, so,
Wow.
So there you go.
Included.
There's
Yeah.
your inside. Yeah.
I know.
There-
I don't,
you
it's
get
still
your
in my
free
contract,
Slurpees.
Rachel.
I could talk
Chief
about
Slurpee
7-Eleven
officer at
forever.
7-Eleven.
I really
It's in my
could.
contract. I want
Well,
free
everyone
Slurpees.
has memories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's so underrated for 7-Eleven? Tim, I want to hear what you're underrated.
yeah.
Is the baked goods. Like the
Agreed.
muffins, like the
The
7-Eleven baked
donuts,
goods
the muffins,
are ridiculous.
They're baked daily.
The
Yeah.
last time, I can't remember, I think it was the 7-Eleven in Dallas Airport.
Okay.
Yes, been there.
And I got a breakfast burrito. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, legit.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is good. Because you have an expectation.
Yeah.
Like when you go into like
Yeah.
any kind of convenience store, breakfast kind
Yeah.
of thing, you're just like, is this going to be good? And I was like,
Yeah.
oh,
And
hey.
I can
There was
guarantee
actual
that it's
spice to it.
Yeah,
like, I'm
and
like,
it's fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it gets delivered daily.
Yeah,
And
there you go.
it's definitely, I think, if that is one thing that I could impart on anyone about 7-Eleven is it's not what you've always thought of as the gas station food, I guess. So
Right.
there's a big focus on fresh food, and I think we're crushing it right now. Yeah.
Some people love like the the roller dogs, like I don't
And
put
there's
down-
still the classics.
I don't put down like gas station food.
Nope,
Yeah.
we're not gonna
Yeah.
we're not gonna get rid of the classics. That's
pizza,
for sure.
yeah.
Yeah, you still got to go back to that. But
So we talk about Frontlines hiring. You guys do a ton of frontline hiring.
We do.
When you think about this kind of like AI transformation, conversational hiring that you've done with Workday and Paradox, like there's, and I'll call you a 1%er because you are. Like you think like you've already been doing it for a long time, so you think, oh, this is old, and I want the new stuff, and you're already like willing, like
What's
you're,
next?
Yeah, you're like,
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
go. But there's so many people that haven't gotten to where you're at. So how does somebody get started when their legal team and their
Yeah.
IT team, everyone's like, hey, we're not ready for AI yet. Like, how do you get started with that?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think first and foremost, we were talking about this a little bit earlier, but first and foremost, you need to frame what the problem is that you're solving.
Yeah.
Don't lead with the technology. Don't go after the shiny object. Where's the friction? Where is the employee experience not where you want it to be? Where's the candidate experience not where you need it to be? So understand what you're solving for, and then when you're presenting what you're solving for, you need to make sure that you frame it in how this is a business problem, not an HR problem, how it hits the bottom line, the impact it has on revenue, and it's all true.
Yeah.
Right.
But a lot of times historically, it's been, oh, that's a recruitment problem. Oh, that's an HR problem. And there's a lot of different ways in which you can present it in a different language. Honestly, you need to speak the language of the business. So if you're speaking to the chief marketing officer, maybe some anecdotal stories that impact brand. If you're talking to the CFO, you're talking dollars, but how do you frame it in the language of whoever you're talking to so that you get that partnership from the get-go, and how you're going to resolve the problems and what those results are going to be, and then deliver on those results, or ideally over-deliver on those results, right? And then as far as IT or legal or compliance, you're all in this together, one team.
Yeah.
So how do you, it's all about relationships. And in this era of AI, I think being human is even that much more important, and really learning how to cultivate relationships and how to do critical thinking. That's what's going to set you apart. So going into this, figure out how you have the conversation with them to link arms versus instead of this is an us versus them.
Yeah.
Right.
Make them your partners from the get-go, how this is going to be better, acknowledge and understand their concerns.
Yeah.
They're coming from a good place. They're trying to make sure that what you're doing is the right thing for the company. So How do you educate around why this is the right business decision, acknowledge and understand where their concerns are coming from, and then instead of just stopping at the concerns, okay, I understand your concerns, so what can we do?
Right.
How do we move past this to ultimately get to this business solution that we need to get to as an enterprise? So everyone
Yeah.
put on your enterprise hats, lock arms, one team,
Yeah.
and figure out how to get through it together. And then learn how to talk about it. Not everything is AI, and everybody is calling everything AI now, even if it's been automation that's been in place for decades.
Yeah.
So also the nuance of the words that you use in describing what you're trying to do makes a huge difference.
100%.
Yeah.
I do, like, the HR tech space screws themselves up sometimes on the marketing language. They want to have the hottest language,
I
but then
know.
you're like, that's not really what that is, and
It
it's just
triggers
going to
red
mess up your
flags.
The same
buyer.
thing. It's
Yeah.
confusing.
Yeah, there's
Um,
not a consistent definition.
no,
That's part of the
that's the
problem.
problem.
So one of the other things is creating your definitions and
Yeah.
your terminology that you use internally so that you're all speaking the same language.
And you're sticking with that.
And then stick with it. And then before presenting something that's coming from external as benchmarking, before you do that, translate it to how you use your language internally before you're sharing it so that you're all on the same page. I think that makes a big difference too.
Yeah.
I love that theme of being on the same page. It's so, I think so often TA especially becomes defensive of like, oh, we used this before and now they're going to find out about it. I think
Yeah.
what happens in this experience, you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, is you identify there's a lot of wasted spend on other things you've used before.
Yeah.
Did you go through that process and like, did you have to replace things did that help build the business case?
Well, ours was a little bit of a different scenario just because we were going through an acquisition integration. So we were having to rewrite our entire tech stack roadmap because we were integrating two totally different companies and two totally different tech stacks and two different operating models and two different hiring models. So it was, I guess there were some replacements, but it was often something that one or the other companies already used, kind of a thing. So it was simplifying our complicated tech stack. But yes, there are ways to simplify and optimize what you do have. And I think that's where leading with the problem you're solving for instead of the shiny object helps you avoid the unnecessary extra spend. Because it's real easy to spend more than you need to. I think also we don't do the greatest job of understanding what other functions and other groups are using.
Right.
And making sure you understand what everybody else is doing so that you're not duplicating efforts.
Yeah.
So I think it's been proven, like now, like when you do conversational, like apply, so you're using kind of AI to, like for candidates to apply, it takes, minutes instead of days, blah, blah, whatever. And then they
Seconds.
seconds. And then self-scheduling, so you're getting right from apply to a schedule for an interview very quickly. One of the challenges, and we hear this consistently, is, especially in a multi-unit environment, how many corporate locations do you support?
Over 13,000 locations, but about 45% of that are corporate locations. So
So you have thousands of these locations
Yeah.
and manager schedules, and how do you get the managers to be able to open their schedule and do all this? So explain how you guys handled that, because I think that's one of the biggest hurdles to turn that
Agree.
on.
We had to think a little bit differently too, because on top of that, most of our folks may not have an email address, and there's a computer in the back room that everybody's sharing, and to think that they're going to constantly be checking a backroom computer for schedules is just not going to be wasn't realistic for us. And so we kind of did a 2-phase approach, and unique. I don't know that a lot of folks have done this, but we went live telling them what their window of interviews will be.
Yeah.
So that they're not having to look at a calendar necessarily and just, I can't remember what it was, but pretend
hey,
Tuesday,
every Thursday, 2 to 4, right?
Or emailing you the times
Yeah.
that they wanted to have blocked off.
Right.
Yeah.
Instead, it was when we go live with this, whatever it was, every Tuesday, Thursday from 2 to 4, have someone just know that anyone could walk in the door
Yeah.
and be ready for that interview. And that was a huge hit. Huge hit. Highly recommend. If that makes everybody's business is different, but if that makes sense and is possible, then that's great. Then
Well,
once
you start off with 100% compliance.
Correct.
It's like hey, because that's the biggest thing is like, well, how are we going to get adoption and compliance? Like, just force it.
Yeah.
Like I know, like
Well, it's also
it doesn't,
fair.
you know,
Everyone
Everyone
has
gets
the
equal
same.
opportunity.
It's fair.
Yeah.
it's a test.
Yeah.
We're gonna try it.
Yeah. And it worked out great.
Yes.
And then, of course, as time went by, there were requests of like, hey, can I adjust what mine is? Yes, we can, right? And
Or even think
then-
of like certain like maybe it's second shift or maybe it's weekends and like, well, if you're going to hire someone for the weekend, they probably can interview on the weekend, right?
Right.
Versus like
Right.
oh, I have this other job during the week, but I want to pick up weekend shifts or whatever,
Right. So it was also to help meet our candidates where our candidates are and what their availability is, and you can get them in there sooner if you don't have it so limited. So then it was a lot easier though to train folks that were actively wanting that. There's engagement, there's participation, there's adoption.
Yeah.
So then we provided training around how you can manage your calendar, how you can adjust it, and how you can own what you want that to look like for your location. But to go out live, we did everything the same.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned change management. That is huge. That is also a tip I would provide is that should not be an afterthought. And change management is way more than a comms plan.
Right.
And that's what it's like after everything's done and we've built this and we know exactly what you need and want and we're going to, do a comms plan and call that change management. You understand, yes, figure out who your stakeholders are that are the decision makers, but then also understand who gets impacted, who is going to get impacted by whatever this is that you're rolling out, and how do they feel about it, and does it deliver what you're hoping that everyone goes into with great intentions.
Yeah.
Yep.
Everybody wants to help. There is absolutely no one trying to roll something out to make your life harder. But that's not how it's always received or perceived.
Yeah.
And unless you go out and understand what that is to begin with, you're going to hit roadblocks like nobody's business.
Well,
Really
you
respect
love
the
to say
involved.
go slow,
Yep.
go slow to go fast.
Yes, slow
So
down
it's
to
like
go fast.
it's
Yep.
like
Slow
it's
down
like
to
hey,
go fast.
we're gonna make this really really fast, but we're gonna go slow to get there to make sure everybody knows exactly what's going on.
Well, you want to bring everyone along with you. So often people feel like things are happening to them.
They're left out of
and
it.
they have no control.
Yes.
And it's there, it's just getting thrown at them. And so we wanted to make this we wanted them to be a voice in
Part of it.
how this was going to impact their life.
Yeah.
And so we really took that into consideration. In fact, we delayed the project overall. I was purposely late on delivering this because of feedback from a store leader. So we have something called an in-store experience, and we actually work at our location. So I was doing my in-store experience, and I was so excited. And I told the store leader, oh my goodness, you're going to be so excited. This is what's coming out. And guess what? It's going to be out right before the 100 days of summer, so you can use it. So that's our seasonal hiring, and it's from Memorial Day to Labor Day. And that makes sense,
Slurpee
right?
season.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Slurpee
made
season.
sense to you. Yeah.
Makes total sense. And the store leader goes, oh, please no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
We have
one more
so many
thing.
No,
operational
not a new
things
thing.
happening.
One more
I
thing,
can't
right.
deal with a new thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So took that back.
Yeah.
Took the opportunity to survey some other folks, have some more conversations, not just the one. And consensus was that would actually be harder, not easier. And so we purposely delayed it to October.
So you waited till after the busy season.
We waited till after.
Yep.
Yeah, and that was all because we cared about the person who's actually going to have to use it in their experience. And I think that really helped
It went a long
build
way.
trust and
Yeah.
credibility in the adoption of the rollout as well, because they had a say in how it went. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That doesn't ever happen.
It's
It's like we're using it this day,
Yeah.
and you're all going to have to use
Well,
it.
because we have they're not all arbitrary deadlines.
Yeah.
There are
Yeah,
certain deadlines.
Yeah.
This has to happen for this to happen. We can't, totally get that. But we're usually not flexible. You make decisions and you build something on the information you have at the time. When you get new information, you've got to figure out how to pivot sometimes. But we, as a society, struggle in pivoting with new information because this is where we're going. This is what we have to do. So I really appreciated the support that I got from a recommendation to purposely miss a deadline. That was I felt very supported in it too, which was really helpful.
So you talked about the cost of candidate experience. You'll be able to measure like the cost of bad candidate experience. which to me is a fascinating measure. Like, how did you come up with that?
So we actually use a company called Surveil.
Yeah.
And
Oh, we know Surveil.
so they do something called the Candy Awards.
Yes.
Yeah.
And through that experience, so they're obviously measuring your candidate experience through surveys to the actual candidates. Who better to ask what the experience is like than those actually going through the experience? And they have something called a candidate resentment rate. And they're basically asking candidates, hey, based on this experience, will that change your relationship with this company? So for us, all of our candidates are customers. So depending on the experience, basically it's asking, based on this, will you still shop there? Will you still go there? And then they have a calculator and it's conservative too. They put numbers too, based on what the feedback was and what the rate is. There's dollars that tell you this is the potential revenue you're losing by providing a poor candidate experience.
Yeah.
And that really helps translate things into, this is again a business problem. This is not an HR problem.
Right.
And for us, even at the store level hiring, our frontline hiring, there is no recruiter involved.
Yeah.
And so it's even if we wanted to train our recruiters better, that's not really going to do anything in this case. So now it's how do we present ourselves better in that experience, and how do we have that perfect balance of where technology does come into play and where the human element and the human touch, focusing on the moments that matter, and then where their human moments are, where that does matter, show up. Yeah. And show up with the greatest effort that you can, so that we don't hurt the candidate experience, because again, our candidates are our customers.
I love
That's
data
huge.
like that, that your C-suite's going to pay attention, and to be able to break that down by store manager, by district, by region, or whatever, and go, oh my gosh, like, hey, look, we have a region that's number one, and like saving, like best in candidate experience, which is saving us money, but we also have some here are dragging. And then being able to go out and really kind of focus on, well, what's the differences there and why? And it's like, it's classic. You can actually see it when you have that many data points, and you have that much potential lost revenue. Like, people pay attention.
Yeah, that's when it becomes, again, a business problem, not an HR problem.
Yeah.
And I think it's been fun to watch HR just get the seat at the table and be a part of the conversation. For so long, you're all policies and paperwork, and now we're a part of some of the most strategic conversations.
And doing innovative
and that's been fun to
things.
watch. Yeah. It's getting a front row seat of that's pretty cool.
When you're doing things that are actually measuring the outcomes and results, like, you guys had a massive drop in recruitment marketing spend, and you're like, oh gosh, they probably paid for the tools plus, right, that you're using, and all of a sudden now you build credibility with the CFO and like the IT people, and everyone's like, so now the next time Rachel comes and goes, hey, I want to do this thing, and they're like, okay, tell us more,
listen.
right?
Yeah.
Versus like, no, like, no way.
Yeah, it does help to open the door to the conversation. But, once you've earned that trust, you need to protect that thing like nobody's business, and make sure that you honor that trust and keep that trust, and don't do anything that could hurt that. It takes a long time to build the credibility and the trust, but it can be one little thing that destroys it. So
Yeah, that's a good point.
yeah, so don't take advantage of it. Really treat it with care, but understand the value that brings you. It opens the door. It gives you the opportunity for the right conversations to continue to build on that trust. It's been a pretty cool experience for sure.
Very cool. So Tim said this, you're like in the top 1% of TA leaders that have kind of gone through this process.
Can you write that down?
I know.
Is that official?
That's going to be the title of the podcast.
Little, like 1% star.
The 1%.
I like it.
What would be on your list? Like, if you had to give a TA leader going through this journey, what would be like number one on your list for what they should do and think about?
Yeah, I think being curious and open-minded, and not set in this is just how we've always done it, and having that innovative mindset. And then everything that I've just talked about, making sure that you get close to the business, make sure that your business acumen is up there. Be known as a business person first that knows how to do HR versus an HR person. I think, setting your brand is huge. So setting yourself up to be successful in those strategic conversations, to be invited to those strategic conversations. And you do that by building trust and credibility. And you do that by delivering on what you say you will. And you get to deliver on what you say you will by making the right business cases, using the language of the business. So understand the challenges you're trying to solve for, interpreting it in the business language, building the credibility and trust by over-delivering what you say you're going to, and then you keep getting invited back to the table. So I think really making sure that your brand is one of, I am Team 7-Eleven first, and I know how to do HR. I think that makes a big difference. Yeah.
I think it's critical. Like I've been told like throughout my career, like, hey, you're unlike every other HR leader or that has been around here, and it was always like in a positive context for the most part. But one of the things like I always did was like I got out in the field. Like I traveled with my ops leaders. I didn't see myself as the HR guy or the TA guy. So I'm a business leader.
I'm your partner.
And I want to come out and figure out how can I do something that's going to help what's going on out here.
Yeah.
And that builds the credibility. And then actually delivering builds the trust. But people always like, well, I don't know how to build credibility, and they sit in their office or they sit at home on the Zoom and they're never out.
Or
like,
just chime in to say no.
Just
or
seeing and feeling
Yeah.
the actual business of what's going on. And it's like, it doesn't take a lot.
Right.
Like, but you have to do it. And it might be uncomfortable, and you might feel like an idiot, and you might feel like you don't know what's going on. But people notice. The operations people notice for sure from that standpoint. And I think that builds, that credibility.
Well, you both have had experiences where you're not just working for these companies in corporate, but you're actually, for weeks at a time, going and working in a 7-Eleven or in an Applebee's and talking to people.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important.
It gives you a perspective that I think is so important and critical, and understanding. Again, like I said, everybody has really great intentions of what they're trying to roll out and trying to make, things simpler. But when you times that by hundreds of other people trying to roll out things that's going to make things simpler.
Past experiences that were not simpler.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
Yeah.
They have,
Me being a field leader versus a corporate leader,
Yeah.
you really felt it, because it's like when you get into the corporate office, you realize, oh, it's just not TA or HR or benefits or whatever. It's every single function's thinking they're helping by building.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then you have like a store manager, employees out there going, oh, I got this this mountain of crap that's being dropped on us. Again, under the
Great
pretenses of
intentions.
we're trying to help you,
Yep.
and you're like, no, can you just leave us alone?
This is too
That
much.
would-
Just let
that
us
would
be.
help
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. Just let us be. Yeah.
So when you think of like all the AI capacity saving, because that's like a lot of things we're turning on, again, not just TA, not just HR, but operations is turning stuff on, finance is turning stuff on, all with this guise of getting capacity back in a multi-unit environment to the manager, right, to the leader out there. How are you guys rethinking or thinking about that time that they're getting back and how that should be used?
Yeah, so there's a big focus right now on, I talked about this a lot, slowing down to speed up. And that is so that we can make sure that we're getting the orchestration of all of this right, and visibility to all the things that are happening. And then, having that cross-functional view to what is going on, so that we can be strategic and intentional of how we repurpose the time saved. Because selfishly, if I'm saving time through, automating some of the hiring process, I want them to refocus on the onboarding and the training of those that hire, so that we increase our retention. Those are some things to do. But what about everybody else? Right? Ops is going to have some ideas of where they want to repurpose that time.
Yeah.
Merch may have some ideas.
Yep.
Other functions are going to have ideas of where they want to refocus those efforts. So I think it's important to get on, again, the same language and the same page as to how you want to reinvest or repurpose the time that you're saving through that, because everyone's going to have ideas.
Well, there's always like the concept of, okay, yeah, we saved 8 hours, let's say, on average, right? Okay, that's average. It doesn't mean that a new store manager that like maybe that saved them less because they like
Right.
They
or
need more
maybe
time,
a
or-
senior
Right.
manager it only saved them a couple of hours because they were already good at whatever, and so it's like it's always that kind of
Or the
like,
store's been fully staffed and they didn't need
Yeah.
to, they didn't save
But
any
we-
hours because they
yeah.
didn't need to do anything.
but we
Yeah.
see like this average of 8 and then we're like, okay, now we're gonna fill this 8 hours with stuff,
Right.
and you're like, then you overwhelm people.
Correct.
And you're like, okay, now we just increase turnover
Yeah.
because we killed them, from that standpoint. Yeah.
you
It's,
have to be
it's,
very
it's
thoughtful about that,
challenging.
yeah.
It's such a
Tricky,
challenge.
very
And
tricky.
sometimes also knowing when you don't you
Right.
just don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Because
Well,
there's a lot
yeah.
of stuff not getting, that they wish they could get to
Or
already.
they might have already
Yeah.
felt like my job was already 45
Yeah,
hours. So like,
yeah,
now
yeah.
I'm just back down to a normal like work
Yeah.
week or
yeah,
whatever. Right?
that too.
Yeah. Awesome. How can people find you?
How can they find me?
Yeah.
You can find me on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Rachel
probably
Allen,
your best way.
7-Eleven,
That's right, 7-Eleven,
Mhm.
Rachel Allen.
Queen of Slurpees.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
T-shirt.
I'm gonna put on there 1%er though too.
Yes.
you
That would
should.
I would
Yeah.
definitely put that. I was named a
It's an
1%er
official-
TA leader
Yeah. You
by
can
the
put our
Frontlines
pictures.
podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
totally
That should be right on the headline.
it's totally legit,
LinkedIn.
right?
The
Yeah.
Frontlines.
I'm
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah.
Yes, excellent. All right,
I
everybody,
stand by
that's
it.
another episode for my great friend Madeline Laurano. I'm Tim Sackett, and we'll see you guys next time.